So here, just a quick introduction. This is Tim Storm, founder of FatWallet.com, and just a quick note about FatWallet for those of you who don't know. So FatWallet, originally an Illinois company, did $1 billion worth of transactions that it helped facilitate.
It was well into the, I think we were pushing $2 billion of transactions that we had impacted.
For its advertising partners in a community basis, which was what was interesting, instead of a lot of other just strictly coupon sites that sprouted in the early industries of marketing. There was definitely a community and forum basis to what FatWallet was, and more importantly,
it still is. And
more importantly than just the numbers, as well. Also, in 2011, one of the top 50 best places to work by Entrepreneur.
Number 13.
Number 13 in the country. So provided a reason, again, back to Tim number earlier. Speech about provided a reason and a belief for the people to be there at the company itself, and so a real ethos behind it. So we invited Tim to have a discussion with us about being an entrepreneur and kind of creating that path. Did I get most of the intro right?
Something like that.
Something like that?
Yeah, just basically it's the story of a company that I started in 1999 with $100, and the basis was I went to use a coupon online, and the coupons that I found, the sites that I searched for on an Alta Vista at the time, if anybody remembers that, okay? The websites that I found, and no disrespect to any of the coupon players from way back then, they weren't done professionally or they weren't up to date. And I'd been a computer geek since I was 10, so it was like, I could do this as a hobby. So literally for $100, I started this as a hobby. No great intentions of building something that would, in the future be recognized as one of the greatest places to work in the country. That was something that we figured out later on down the road was important. It was, hey, I wanted to use a coupon, and I can help some people out. I can help people save some money along the way. So that was the reason I started the company was, hey, this looks like something I can do. And it was literally just that as the starting point. Right, and
so let's talk about that with the first question. So the first question is, you previously were at a sound and speaker company that was national. You'd been there 7 years. Suddenly you take $100.
You did your homework. Good.
Suddenly you take $100 out of your pocket and say, I'm going to walk away from this sure career path to start something online in probably what is many would consider the most fringe element of marketing out there, which is in the affiliate space. What drove you to that decision?
Well,
was it bad coffee at the?
No, it was kind of interesting because literally I started it as a hobby, and the first month, December of 1999, I made $100. I made my initial investment back. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And at the time, you could buy keyword traffic from goto.com for like a nickel a click. And I'd do crazy stuff like buying traffic for a nickel a click, and maybe I make a dime sometimes. There were just some silly things that I had done. If you could still go back on eBay back to around January of 2000 and see the listing that I had put up there that cost me 35 cents, I had taken the domain name fatwallet.com and I put it on an eBay auction. I said, domain name for sale, $250,000, something I just spent $70 buying, right? But the domain name, it was about people going, why the heck does this guy think it's worth $250,000? As it turns out, if you would have bought the domain name and done the things that I did, that would have been a very good return on your investment. So that was just starting as a hobby and just taking the initial $100 and turning it into more traffic and turning it into more traffic. And literally 9-10 months later, it was a case where we had enough revenue coming from that hobby business that it was overtaking my real job, and I was able to just simply make that transition and take the leap of faith of saying, we're going into holiday period of 2000. The crash has just happened, and we've got enough momentum through the crash that I'm going to be able to overtake what my salary was doing. So it was kind of a no-brainer to me, saying, this is a chance I have to take. And of course, I've got people whispering in my ear or yelling in my ear, in the case of my mom, you don't do that. You've got 2 kids. You've got this going on. And, you know, I've always, and I've had these conversations with my mother over the years saying, thanks for saying I couldn't do this, because it really gave me the motivation that I needed to succeed. Following up on that story and jumping ahead 6-7 years, we were moving into a 12,000 square foot office building. At the time we were, 20 employees, something like that. And standing in the lobby of this building that we're moving into, my mom looks at me and goes, did you have any idea? I'm like, no, I didn't. I was seeing 6 months at a time, but I knew it was a chance that I had to take. And you know, for somebody who grew up as a kid to 2 kids, or to 2 parents that were both teachers, to have here's the college dropout, that they're kind of going, what's he doing? You know, and here it is, having something that's being recognized as growth, creating jobs. It's something that they could be proud of seeing happen.
With, you talk.
I have no idea if I answered your question. So.
You did.
Okay.
You did. I think out there, one of the jokes in the marketing industry is that you can't throw a rock without hitting a coupon site online, and they all look alike. One of the things that I've always enjoyed about Fat Wallet was that leap of allowing a community to really interact in the forums. And how did that leap happen?
So we never really saw Fat Wallet as an advertising site. That wasn't what we did. We were an online user community about saving money when people shop online. You know, we started with a simple list of coupons, but that was really just the very beginning. The real fun started in about April of 2000 when we created a user community. And I was a participant in other user communities about saving money when people would shop online. So fostering that community and that exchange of information, the power of that third-party endorsement is what I really grabbed onto. So when someone that doesn't receive anything for saying it says, hey, here's a good deal, or here's a good product, we've all seen, when we look at product reviews, here's somebody that's supposedly not being involved in the product development or the sales cycle saying, this is what I found with it. The same thing held true with shopping online and sharing information, and that sense of community was something that really struck home for me.
And as you start to evolve as a company, what I want to know from an entrepreneur standpoint is, how does a college dropout deal with the fact that suddenly not only are you successful in business, but you're being nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year, your business is being picked as one of the, again, best places to work in the country, and suddenly you're seen as in a leadership role, not only in the company that you work with, but in the community of business folks around you, and you're expected to be a role model of sorts.
I guess the answer there is, I never did anything about trying to promote myself or the company in such a way of trying to get into these awards. We focused on what we did as a business, and along the way, people recognized some of the things that we were doing. I mean, it was when I was nominated as it was 2 years ago for Entrepreneur Magazine, Entrepreneur of the Year, and was one of the 4 finalists. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's so many people that are way smarter and doing cooler things than what I'm doing. I've got this coupon site that I built from $100 into 50 employees, and I'm proud of that. But here's some other really cool people, and it took me a little while to get my head wrapped around, this isn't about Tim Storm. This is about recognizing all of the people. And at that point, it didn't really matter whether I won or lost. It was just recognizing entrepreneurs. And recognizing entrepreneurs as the artists that we are, not in the terms of putting paint on a canvas, but we create from nothing. We speak worlds into existence. I know there are a number of authors in the room, and that's what we do. We create, and it was just really a recognition of that in general, and I was able to appreciate that. But really, we didn't go about trying to win awards. None of the awards that we received, and being involved in the affiliate industry, Angel, you know, my company racked up a bunch of awards, and because of the volumes that we did and the relationships that we had, and those were relatively, I appreciated them, but they were relatively meaningless to me. That's not what we did it for.
They were nice paperweights, very pretty ones.
They were very pretty paperweights. When we received 2 years ago the Great Place to Work Award, and I think we were number 20, that was the first one where I said, no, that's one I'm proud of, because that's not what I did. That's what the people create the company, said about the company, and that comes from within. When we heard that we were in the top 25 and we didn't know what number we were coming into this, I was talking to the employees, I'm like, where do you think we're going to be? And people were saying, we won. We're number one. And when they had that attitude, I knew we were doing something good.
That's awesome. Can you, I've, prior to doing what I do currently, I worked in a lot of cubicles, never in a space that I felt, was an environment to even be talked about as, a good place to show up. What does being in that environment that Fat Wallet cultivated, what was it like? Give us a little picture of what that was like.
Okay. Let's go back to '99 real quick, when it was just me. Fat Wallet was run from a spare bedroom of my house, and I knew what it was like to work for someone else, and I didn't want to have that sensation anymore. When the time came for me to hire more people, I hired people that were able to work for themselves, but they happened to be working for a company. When the time came for us to have a physical place where it made sense that, hey, there's like 3 or 4 of us in the same state, we can meet together kind of on a daily basis and see what happens. We treated it the same way as when it was just me. If you wanted to take a break, you take a break. If you wanted a snack, you go to the counter and you get a snack. If you want a drink, go to the fridge and get a drink. This isn't just, oh, here's Google here's lots of food and drink around. It was really just a philosophy of treat people at the office as if they were guests in my home. So it was still, even when we built, we custom built 30,000 square foot office building about 4 years ago now. And that was a great opportunity for us to, it was the blank sheet of paper to really re-envision what our company was and what it could become. It was still the spare bedroom at my house. It just wasn't at my house anymore, and that's how everyone was treated and how I expected the people that were working there to treat the facility. Thank you. Through the years, we have success, or what people think about success. Ooh, he made some money, he got to buy some toys and do some cool things. After the fun of that first part wore off, the really rewarding one for me is, because I like to sleep in, I would pull into the parking lot and I'd see here's 40 cars in the parking lot, and knowing that each one of those is a good person and a good job that they're proud to be there, that was my reward, and something I'm really proud of.
So, everybody likes to talk about the successes, but sometimes you get blindsided by things. So I want to talk about one thing that you were blindsided by a little bit by. So those who may or may not have heard about, various internet laws out there, there's been various court fights around Amazon and Amazon paying taxes to different states online. So Illinois itself ended up in an Amazon battle, and for you, those of you who don't know a little bit of the background, Amazon essentially was in a proxy war, still is in a proxy war with not so much the states, but with Walmart and their big box competitors pushing state legislatures to go after Amazon, and whoever's right or wrong in it. There's a lot of small businesses and a lot of big-sized businesses that got hurt by this proxy war. It was fought out in Illinois, and the Illinois legislature passed and it was signed into law.
During the lame duck session, it went through the House Revenue Committee, the Senate Revenue Committee, and the Senate within a period of 48 hours.
So passed within 48 hours. So this was a lot of affected, all transactions. We're not, the transaction was initiated by a company that was in the state of Illinois, which Amazon, technically wasn't. So not only this law didn't make a dime, what was interesting though, and was recently repealed, right? Recently repealed.
It was recently, as in like 2 weeks ago, stated that this law that was passed that basically said us as an affiliate for these out-of-state retailers was trying to create business nexus in the state. That's what happened, and a judge looked at it and said, this is unconstitutional on multiple grounds, and chucked it out.
So it was kicked out, but it forced you, because it would essentially, at that time, hamstring your business, to move. So talk about being hit unexpectedly by a truck that way.
Yeah, so, there are a number of trucks that we dodged along the way, but this one was the really big one. Had we not moved, we would have lost 30 to 40% of our revenue by our best estimation, probably closer to 40%, immediately when the governor signed the bill. So the bill was signed, and within 30 days, we relocated the entire company out of that custom-built 30,000 square foot building 5 miles north across the Wisconsin border, and uprooted the entire company, made the move. Here's the real key point and the big lesson out of that. We tried to fight with logic, we tried to fight with reason about why this didn't make sense as a law. We said it's not going to create any revenue because all these out-of-state merchants are going to simply cancel their contracts with us. They're not going to stop doing business in Illinois. And we're the ones creating jobs. We got to make this move. And we looked at a number of different states. We ended up, Wisconsin was the easy one. And we went and we spoke to the governor's office and said, hey, are you going to do this same stupid stuff? And they were able to say, no, we want the jobs. And I really appreciated having that conversation with them. Going back, I mentioned the blank sheet of paper that we had when we built the office building. We took that time to really define our core purpose, why we existed. We knew we existed to help people save money, but one of the things that we really recognized was how important our core values were. And if there's one thing that I wish I would have clearly defined earlier on in the process, it would be really in defining what those core values are. And since I'm standing here, I'm right here right now, I'll try to remember what we had. Commitment, integrity, and balance. Those were our first 5. And we had stories and we reinforced all of these core values. If an employee would recognize a great example of commitment or balance or change, we had these stupid little stickers that say passionate, had our cute little swirl on them. And just like the football players that have the little Buckeye going on their helmet to recognize great plays, our employees on their laptops or on their mailboxes had those stickers lined up. And I tell you what, as the CEO, the founder of the company, I got a kick out of getting one of those stupid little stickers. But what had happened is when we recognized with those little stickers, it reinforced the stories and it gave us all stories to tell about why these things are important. I can tell dozens of stories on each of the core values that we had. And defining what those things are really important to your company culture. Because when times get tough and you point to, well, here's an employee that did this, falsified a time card or whatever the case may be, we give them the chance. Here's what's going on. Nope. Okay, well, integrity is a core value. I said we have a choice. We either say this person's not going to be part of our organization or we take that banner down. We're not going to be Enron. We're not going to say we believe in this and then look the other way because they're otherwise a good employee. No, it's part of who we are, and the banner stayed. As we went on, because I think the word asshole was spoken earlier, one of the things that we did on a quarterly basis is we evaluated all of our employees as a leadership group, and everything that 2x2 matrix, right? So you've got how do they perform for their job, and then how do they perform for our core values. And we'd have people that are high core values, high performance, they're an A player. Low core values, low performance, they're a C player. The other two are probably Bs. Let's talk about it and see where we want to rank them. So we're looking at employee, we'll call him Bob since there were no Bobs that worked there. And high performance, great. And we're trying to figure out, okay, why is this? We're thinking core values, and we go through our 5 core values. And yeah, he's got those. I don't want to give him an A. And we really determined there was another core value that we were living, but we hadn't articulated yet. And as much as I wanted to call it the no asshole rule, we called it respect. So we later on went on to recognize fun as a core value. It was just something that was so obvious within our company culture, but we did want to identify it as one of our core values. So looking back, things that I would want to have identified earlier on, not just because when you come in here and you're saying, okay, employee, you're going to be passionate, and you hire for those qualities because core values are so hard to train.
You know, all things, you know, come to an end. They transition out.
Let me jump right back in there. I know we're running short on time. But
do it.
The core values that we were able to identify and believe and reinforce, getting back to your question about here comes the truck and we're having to relocate, when the time came that we had to react, we leveraged those core values that we believed in, that we lived, and we were able to bring the awesome with us to another office space. It wasn't about the physical place. The physical place let us identify those things for us, but we didn't need that physical place anymore to be the company that we became.
Right, and you completed that move very quickly. So, I mean, that was, key to that.
30 days.
30 days. All those people.
We had, at that time, 7 employees.
Recently, Fat Wallet was purchased by Ebates. You know, and I talked about things coming to, change and end. I think in people's heads, it's always like, well, I'm going to start a company in order to sell it. I'm going to start an app in order to sell it. Somebody's going to buy it. And I've known you for a little bit. Money itself is not that motivator. What
doesn't hurt?
It doesn't hurt. What keys that change for you as an entrepreneur?
So I never built the company to sell it. I had gone through and decided this is just something that in and of itself I'm proud of, and we're going to just keep building it. It could be something that got turned over to the kids, who knows what. And I was approached by a competitor saying, hey, is there ways that we can get economies of scale and work together? And there is some consolidation that's happening in the affiliate industry. And it was a decision that I made where I didn't know what I was doing when I started the company. I figured it out along the way. And I'm looking at where the company is in this space and recognizing, hey, yeah, this working together thing could be be in a stronger position where there's some other consolidation going on and we might be the one getting steamrolled. What's the best way for us to ensure our success going forward? So I was just open to that as a possibility. And it was a situation where I said, yeah, if we can do this and you guys write me a big stupid check and I can walk away and I'm not beholden to whatever direction you go with it. I looked at what the company was. It was important to me that they wanted to maintain operations for the employees that were there. That was a non-starter. If they said, okay, we're moving everything to California, done. We're not having this conversation. If they were going to ditch the brand, ditch the concept of having that user community, done. It's a non-conversation. The fact that they wanted to maintain the brand, they wanted to maintain the physical location because it wasn't in California, recognizing that there were advantages, recognizing that they had figured some stuff out that we hadn't figured out yet, that there were advantages. It was like, okay, this one kind of makes sense. And we looked at it from all the different angles. We're open to the possibility, and they were able to put together the money to make it happen.
So now you've been an entrepreneur that's started with $100 from a physical office. You've achieved both personal and public acclaim, where you're happy where you are with the space. You've been hit by a truck and managed to survive it. You've done the entrepreneur dream of building something and then, allowing it to be purchased once the time and the path is right. How do you now keep reinventing yourself and keep being interested in whatever the next path is?
Okay. Over the last couple of years, I started dabbling in something that doesn't generate me any revenue, but it makes me feel really good, and it's helping people.
What a concept.
So I've received a lot of enjoyment from is talking to people who were me in 1999 that were starting out their business. So I keep my eyes out for somebody who's just getting going and try to be the mentor that I didn't have back then, help them make that decision, not make those expensive mistakes along the way that can help them get to where I got to. I don't need anything more. What am I going to do? So I set, we've probably all heard the term BHAG, Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. We had those set for how many transactions that we wanted to generate by the year 2020. I set a personal BHAG that I wanted to help create at least 10 millionaires. So that's something that I pay attention to. It's kind of cool, and to help somebody get to that point. And if they get along to that point where they've got that kind of money and that kind of leverage and they've done it through my guidance, I know that they've done it in a way that's done good for the world, and that's something that's been important to me.
Thank you. And